about. And let's discuss how protected Joe Biden actually is. This is right along in line. I try to have some sort of, with the show, some ideas that have something to do with the other, right? And this really brings everything home when you consider this. Joe Biden, there's nothing really about him at all that you can find rather admirable, right? And even the people that are supporting them, they almost can never say why they support the man without mentioning Donald Trump. It's because they support him out of spite for Trump. It's not that he's doing anything, because there's nothing special that he does. He stumbles over himself for the most part. Everybody's waiting for the next gaffe. It's even suggested that he's having some sort of cognitive decline. Joe Biden is Joe Biden. He's always been Joe Biden. So, of course, he became a Democrat nominee. That was to be a little bit expected, but we are where we're at now, and there's going to be how close this race is going to be, I have no idea. But Joe Biden is who a lot of people are going to be voting for. And I would argue easily, in recent years, even more than Hillary, is the most protected candidate that we've seen in recent years, by way of the educational, media, political elite. Seen nothing like it. And that this man is getting carried. The people that are holding the water for him are, again, what we'd all mentioned. We mentioned the entertainers and all of that. They're all carrying that for him. He's not charming. He's not admirable. There's nothing about anything that he's doing that garnishes him support. Nothing. He's just Joe Biden. So, why is he so protected? Or you may be asking me, Eric, you just saying that. No. I'm not just saying that at all, actually. It's a lot deeper than that. NPR. Right here, if you're watching this live, you can see this, and we're talking about, for the listeners, NPR. Filth, of course, but let's just talk about what we got right now. NPR, this Hunter Biden thing, right, it's a smoking gun, okay? Like, this isn't something that between the Hunter and Joe Biden thing, like, this is a big deal. We've talked about this. If you see me over at the news and why it matters, I've talked about this rather endlessly. This is something that is absolutely incredible in a sense that a lot of what they have accused. I mean, we went through this whole impeachment process, Russia, between the Ukraine thing, and it's almost like the Democrats were accusing people of what Joe Biden and Hunter Biden were almost guilty of. Not almost guilty of. You can make the argument that they are. There's at least something there. Now, this whole Hunter Biden thing, and who's the big guy, right? Of course, it seems to be like Joe Biden, but this whole deal, I'm not even going in depth with the whole what was found on his hard drive allegedly and all of that. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm speaking more to his crooked ties with both China and the Ukraine when it comes to both Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. There's a lot of smoking gun here. And you would think that the media was all over. We were talking about this on the news and why it matters over at the Blaze. And we discussed how he had Steve Dice, I believe. He had, and a lot of other individuals had compiled over that past weekend when a lot of this story had broken. The media dedicated 9, I repeat, from MSNBC on to the ABCs, the NBCs, all of those guys. For the most part, not for the most part, they dedicated over that weekend going into the Monday only 9 minutes to that story, which you think was a major story. Nine minutes. That was it. That was it. And when he's asked with it, he gets like very confrontational. Says, of course you asked for it, and doesn't even have to answer the question because they don't press him. Now, of course, Trump has to answer for every damn thing that he does. NPR right here. Why haven't you covered at least this story? It's worth covering at minimum, right? Here's what they said. We don't want, and they came out with this is blue check marked out of their mind on Twitter. NPR public editor, at NPR public editor. If you're listening to this after we went live, why haven't you seen any stories from NPR about the New York Post Hunter Biden story? And here's the photo that they took and what it says in it. From Terrence Samuels, NPR's managing editor for news on the New York Post Hunter Biden story. He says, and I quote, "We don't want to waste our time on stories that are not really stories. And we don't want to waste the listeners and readers' time on stories that are just pure distractions." Well, that's interesting. Just pure distractions. That's what y'all went with. Rudy Giuliani broke some news pertaining to Hunter Biden. Immediately, news breaks on what appeared to be a misrepresentation. There's a funky photo of him laying down with his hand in his damn pants, right? Came to find out that that wasn't it at all. It was shooting on some Borat thing, right? Where he was actually tucking in his shirt, which came loose when they were trying to put the microphone on him or getting the microphone out of him. That got released by the media immediately because they wanted to discredit Rudy Giuliani. Now, I say this as not a fan of him. I'm just saying this is what we're dealing with. He's protected. They can't have that information getting out. So what do? They just say that it's fake news, Russian hoax, right? Propaganda. Because the crookedness only comes on behalf of the conservative, of course, or Donald Trump, whatever you want to identify him as. We went through a whole impeachment process with that, which fell flat on his face. These media elites, something which you think be carried, or hey man, come clarify this. What's going on? No, not even one story. You know, that's a waste of our time. Oh, is it? Why? Is it because it makes Joe Biden look bad? Are there maybe a couple of undecided voters that may be like, well, I don't know if that's the kind of guy that I want to support. Is that why? Maybe, potentially. I don't know. But I do know that he's protected as all hell when the news or the media, instead of covering it or asking about the damn thing, what do? They say, nah, it doesn't exist. It's not even a real thing. It's a fake story. Do they have any proof? No. To the contrary, absolutely not. Just speak it into existence. That's how they operate. Going back to what I said earlier in the show, don't tell me that both sides are equal. Hate when my fellow libertarians do that because they died. They don't act the same. They don't value the same thing. The only thing that may be similar is terms of how they govern if you talk about the politicians, but the constituents, their supporters, no. There's a clear and obvious slant when it comes to the media, entertainment, art, all of that sort of stuff. There's a clear and obvious slant, and it ain't even damn close. And one has to sit there and wonder why that is the case. Is Is there some sort of reality involved in this story? Do they have to absolutely bury it because it's something there? And they must stop Trump at all costs. That's one thing that I would hope any individual, no matter where you're at on the political spectrum, would be paying attention to. The slant is one way, and it ain't to the right. It ain't to the right. They have, you talk about the tech companies, like I said, mentioned the media, entertainment, they're all against Trump and the general conservative. Again, it's only a big deal when you wear the red hat. Nobody looks twice when you wear a Kamala Harris hat at all. Nobody does that. It isn't until you are a supporter of the guy that they consider their enemy, that there becomes issues. Why Chris Pratt has to try to explain himself, right? Because if you support Biden, there's nothing else to it. It is what it is. It's a clear and obvious slant that way. I don't care where you're at on the political spectrum. That's something that you have to acknowledge, and that's something that you have to think about when you're making decisions. Or not just how you vote or anything like that. I'm more so speaking of how you interact with the populace, dare I say. You have to pay attention to that. And you should. But I'm very sick of this whole idea that any of these clowns give a damn about Joe Biden, or that it's just equal. No, right wing, left wing, same bird is what they all say. Nah, one of them wings big as all hell on that bird. One of them damn wings controls a lot more culturally. And you better start paying attention for it. You're seeing a man with dementia about to be maybe carried to the presidency, not because of anything positive that he said, not because he has the ideas on his side, not because he's a good speaker, not because he's charming or anything like that. The thing is dumb as you might have thought Barack Obama was. He was suave and he had a charm. Joe Biden ain't even got that. Yet he may get carried to victory by all of these major entities and these industries, because they are carrying the weight for this man, for this party. It is something worth paying attention to, and I hope that you do.